Hi everybody, today I'm here to talk to you about the joys of cheap guitars. I've been playing guitar for, I think this year it makes 46 years, maybe going on 47 years. In that time I have probably owned 50 guitars or maybe even more. I've lost track. Started out with really inexpensive ones. Over the years my collection kind of grew, and as things happen, life happens to you, you end up selling some guitars, and you trade some guitars in, and you get some new guitars. And at one time I probably had a big collection, about 9 or 10 guitars, and there wasn't a guitar in the bunch that was under $1,000 in price. Those included Martins, Gibsons, Guilds, Paul Reed Smith, what else? A couple of Ibanez's. Let's see, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones and stuff. It's been, like I said, there's been gazillions of them. Had a Fender Jazzmaster, a custom-made guitar, 12-string by John Graven. Some of those guitars today, if I still had them, would probably be worth, I mean, like the Jazzmaster I let go of, I kick myself over because it would be worth about $7,500, $7,600 a day. I've seen them, the models like that on eBay going for that. The John Graven custom guitar that I had. Now that John Graven is long since gone, that guitar is probably would be worth over $10,000 today. So as you know, you develop as a musician, you know, there's things that are not collectible at the time you have them, and then they become collectible later on after you've sold them. There's pedals I had when I was in high school that I see on reverb.com going for $1,000 a piece, and they were crappy pedals. They really weren't very good, you know, compared to the stuff that you can buy nowadays, but things become collectible over time. So one of the things I discovered over the years in playing expensive guitars, you always had to worry about a number of things. If you gigged out with them, you had to worry about them getting damaged or stolen. I remember going to a gig with my Paul Reed Smith. First time I took it out on a gig, the other guitar player, who was the lead singer, he's up there dancing around and entertaining people and putting on a good show, and all of a sudden he kind of turns around and whack, the headstock of his guitar hits my Paul Reed Smith right there, and put a big dent in the top of it. I could have killed him. Anyway, just guitars are like tools. They're going to get banged up. They're going to, if you use them and you just don't keep them in a museum case. And so over the years, you worry about the guitars getting stolen. You take a break and walk away from the bandstand, and you're always looking over your shoulder to make sure nobody's walking off with your guitar. I played in a coffee house one time. I was playing my Gibson 6-string and playing an instrumental tune or something like that, and some guy who had probably had too much to drink in the bar down the street popped into the coffee shop there, and he decides he wants to accompany me, and he picks up my custom Graven, which at the time probably was worth maybe about $3,000. It's now the price on it had skyrocketed probably, you know, by this time. Here's this drunk manhandling my guitar, wants to come and join me for my set. So when you have expensive guitars, that's the kind of stuff you always worry about, and you have to insure them or something if you're gonna. It's just kind of a pain in the butt. So over the years, as I had kids and things, you know, you can't really justify having a big expensive guitar collection. And so what I knew from the years of maintaining instruments and things, and to do some basic repair type things and maintenance of the guitars, like how to raise and lower action on acoustic guitars and electric guitars, how to adjust bridges, how to file frets and dress them to keep them playing nice, how to cut nut slots, and those kind of things. And in doing so, I found that, well, there's kind of a magical thing that happens. I've talked about this in other videos. When you look at the price of guitars, any guitar that's under $1,000 nowadays is built in a factory somewhere in the Far East, in China, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, somewhere, and they're mostly made by machine with very little hand finishing on them. And because they're made by machines now with computer-controlled design, they're pretty good quality when they come out. However, they're not set up. Usually the final stage of a guitar being built is somebody who's a craftsman, who's a luthier or has some skills. A tech goes over the instrument, adjusts the action, adjusts the truss rod, does all this stuff for it, and makes it so that it plays really nice. And then it gets to you and you're really pleased with it. Of course, the expense of paying that person adds a couple $100s to the cost of the guitar in the end, because what happens, the guitar, let's say it comes out of the factory, and let's say the materials and everything for the guitar might cost, I mean, these things are just made out of wood. Wood isn't that terribly expensive. So let's say the cost, I'm just going to throw some numbers out here, and maybe these are not even close, but let's just say the cost of the guitar is $300 in just the woods and the basic assembly of it. You have somebody who's getting paid 20 bucks an hour to put in 8 hours of work onto one to finish it up, make it just perfect. Well, that's going to be $160 just that they're going to add on to the cost of the wholesale cost of the instrument, the manufacturing cost of the instrument. Goes to a wholesaler. Wholesaler's going to sell it to a dealer. Along the way, they're going to increase and put a profit margin on there, a markup that they're going to make their money off of. They're a business, they're entitled to make money. So by the time you get to it, that $300 guitar is going to cost close to $1,000. And that labor cost of that 160 bucks that they put into that gets multiplied. Okay, again, that's going to be probably 320 bucks. By the time you get to it, the labor to really set the thing up perfectly is half the cost of the guitar by the time you receive it. So if you learn how to do those things yourself, you can take a really inexpensive guitar and you can make it play really nice. And so some of the things I have done, and since that time, since I know how to do these things, I found that you can take a really inexpensive guitar and with some very minor tweaks, if you know how to do these things yourself, you can make a guitar sound really nice, and you can have a lot of guitars to make a lot of different sounds if you do home recording and stuff like I do. If you gig out, you can have a whole lot of guitars that can cover different sounds, different songs, and you can make, you don't have to worry about somebody knocking it over at the gig, because it's not a $3,000 guitar. You have a guitar that costs you a couple $100 and you put 6 hours of work into it. Well, you're just out the 6 hours of work. So let's kind of go through. I'm going to show you some of my collection here. I don't think I have a guitar in here. In my house there's 16 stringed instruments and a piano. Those include guitars, mandolins, banjos, bass. So let me just kind of go through, just show you some of the things, and just show you, like, okay, this electric 12 string. Let me play a little thing here from it. So I got a bunch of echo on here. Let me. Sounds great. I've got a ton of echo and reverb on it. If I turn off that echo and reverb, let me just get a clean sound here and just play with a pick. Okay, sounds great. 5-position switch, typical Strat type controls. I found this thing on an auction on eBay, 66 bucks, not including the shipping. I mean, my gosh, how can you beat that? Usually you'll find these selling for about 160, 180, 120. Price fluctuates up and down depending on what the demand is. If you watch eBay, you can find one sometimes where nobody's bidding on it. And that was the case with this one. I picked this one up probably a few weeks before our Christmas, and nobody was shopping for electric 12 strings that week. I had to let my dog out. So I got this guitar for 66 bucks. I dressed the frets a little bit on it, adjusted and intonated the bridges. Plays great. Whenever I need an electric 12-string sound, which is not often, this is what I go to, right? If this thing gets knocked over, stolen, bent, damaged, it's not a big deal. I just buy another one. Okay, let me grab another guitar and I'll kind of show you some more of this idea. This one is the twin to the 12 string. Same finish, same kind of Cocobolo overlay wood, same neck. This instrument made by Cozart. I think it's like these guitars are made from kits or something. I don't know where they come from. I get them on eBay. I bought the electric 12 string first and I liked it so much I decided I'd get a matching 6-string electric to go with it. And this one I did a little bit of customization to. But it was like 166 bucks. That one was 66 bucks. This one was like 166. So it's a great sounding guitar. All I had to do was just adjust the intonation, the action. This one didn't even require any fret work or anything on it. I didn't have to file any frets or adjust anything. There's no sharp edges on it. The thing plays really, really well. At the time, I was playing, my main electric was a really super nice G&L, and it was a beautiful sounding guitar, but this one had a lot of personality to it, and I found that when I was recording and I wanted a particular sound, I kept coming back to this one, and pretty soon I was like, well, gee, you know, I'm playing this $100 guitar instead of the really expensive G&L. Well, might as well just get rid of the G&L and then get something else to add to the collection, which is what I did. So this, I mean, you can sit here. Here I can put the little creamy kind of. So you can get a real nice sound out if I want to get metally on it. Let's see, I can. Out too much like that anymore, but you can just see it's within the parameters of the guitar to be able to do that. So it was a pretty good deal. I enjoy playing the thing a lot, but under 200 bucks. If you know how to do a little bit of adjustment, you can come up with something pretty nice. Stand by. Okay, next, if you play bass every now and again for a song, you're not mainly a bass player, why spend a fortune on a bass? I happen to play fretless bass from years back when I played in a high school jazz band, and I looked around for a fretless bass that I could afford, and also the fact that since I'm not a regular bass player, I didn't need a big 34-inch scale bass. I just happened to find this one that's basically it's a 30.5-inch short scale fretless bass. I've got this strung up with some strings that they're nylon tape wound, so cause I'm kind of going after a acoustic sound. It does the trick. I use it for my recordings. It was 149 bucks on Rondo Music. You can't get these anymore just because they've stopped producing them due to COVID, but they'll be back in production again soon, and you might be able to find one. If not, Rondo makes a whole bunch of other different types of basses and guitars and things, all of them pretty inexpensive, but for 150, under 200 bucks, you can find a decent bass to use on your recordings. If you listen to any of my recordings in the last 5 years, or my videos and stuff, this is the bass that's on there. It does a great job. This one, no frets, don't have to worry about setting up action or anything like that. It's pretty easy. It's just got a couple of screws here on the thing, and you can adjust the intonation by sliding this thing around, just like on a violin or a bass or a banjo or mandolin. Pickups are adjustable. Tuners work great. It's got a great sound. I use it all the time for recording, and it sits really good on most tracks. I'm not the best bass player in the whole world, but hey, so why spend a fortune on a bass? Be back. If you're looking for a really good deal on an acoustic guitar, let's say you just use acoustic guitar for recording occasionally. You don't gig out with it and it's not your main thing. Okay, why spend a fortune on buying a Taylor or a Gibson or a Martin or something like that? Takamine, they're pretty pricey nowadays too. Find you something that's affordable, sounds good, especially if you're going to be playing out with a pickup most of the time. The pickup electronics is what makes most of the sound. The actual body sound of the guitar isn't that important. However, if you're recording and you're here in your house, you want something that sounds good, it's going to sound good on a microphone. Well, one of the guitars that I picked up years ago were these Home Shopping Network guitars that were signature models by Keith Urban. I don't think they sell these anymore, but you can find them around on eBay really super cheap. I don't know if they'll be collectible. This particular one is part of a numbered edition. but they made like 15,000 of them. So I mean, like, it's really not a huge. I mean, it's a huge number, so it's not going to be. I don't expect this will be ever thousands of dollars worth of guitar, but it had some pretty cool features. I saw them showing this on TV. This is like his. It was called the Light Diffuse series after that particular tour. It's got his Phoenix. It was kind of cymbal bridge, which I thought was pretty unique. It has the inlay up here in the top with the Phoenix, and of course it's got his name all over it too. It's got a maple fingerboard for an acoustic guitar. That's pretty rare. You don't see that very often. It feels really good. It looks kind of cool. The back and sides were kind of white, and it's got this little mahogany strip down the back. It was a pretty guitar. I got the thing, and I did a little bit of tweaks to it, but for the most part, plays great. It plays as fast as an electric guitar. I adjusted the action just a wee little bit on it with filing down the bridge. This is a guitar if I ever need to do an acoustic solo, as far as like in a band context, because it's got such a fast neck. This is the one I would use for that. Also, it's got a really good pickup system built into it with the tuner and, you know, the usual kind of stuff that you have, you know, for that. Oops, get the thing to turn on and stay on. Nice little guitar. I think they sold for like $349 or something like that at the time, and that came with a case and a CD set and lessons, and you know, these lessons DVDs that were kind of cool. I didn't need the lessons. I'd already played guitar for many years, but I kind of saved them just because they might be collectible someday. And it came with a tuner and a capo and picks and for a strap. If you're first starting out, it was a pretty good deal. I got this, and I've been very happy with it. It has recorded. I've used it on a number of different songs that I've recorded, and it records great. The microphone loves the sound of this thing, and it's not very expensive. If this thing ever got damaged, it would break my heart to replace it. I do like the guitar a whole lot, but for the price, my pocketbook is not going to be damaged by it. Excuse me. And let me show you one other one, because I like this one so much. I happened to be watching TV one night and they had a different one. Let me show you it. There we go, I'm back. So this one has what they call the blue denim finish. I was watching TV one night, just flipping through the channels, and he was on there promoting the guitar. Keith Urban was, and they had made like 500 of these. It's kind of, maybe it was a little test batch or something like that. And they didn't have pickups in them or anything like that, and so they sold for like $249 or something. You know, came with the case, the CD set, the whole usual spiel that all these things came with. Well, I bought this for $249. Then I turned around and took the CD set, since I already have one from the other guitar, and I put it up unopened on eBay and sold it for over $100. So this guitar ended up costing $149 basically. This one I use for different tunings. It's in drop D right now. Keep this one in drop D, open D, open G tuning, dadgad tuning. So this is like my open tuning guitar. If you play with several different tunings, rather than switch back and forth on your guitar and wear out your strings and stuff, why not have two cheap guitars? I've got guitars for almost every tuning that I use. So that's one of the ideas you can do too. If you're using cheap guitars, you can keep them in different tunings, and then you can just creatively, whenever you want to pick up one for a particular sound, you can do it. This one I keep strung also with heavier gauge strings than the other one. This one gives me a more bass response. So if I want something, if I was going to go play with a banjo player and a bluegrass gig, this would be the guitar I'd take with me, because the bass on this one is pretty strong. You play with a medium gauge pick and it really punches out that bass. The other one is more balanced across the range, and it sounds better with fingerstyle guitar. I'll be back. All right, this baby is an Alvarez. This is a guitar that's probably, they were built in the mid 1990s, about 95, 96, thereabouts. The model on this was the AJ60. It's got a solid alpine spruce top, maple back and sides. It's a beautiful instrument. I put a pickup in it, which has a microphone and a magnetic element in it. Sounds really awesome. Somebody customized it and put this little inlay of ebony in here, which gives the thing a whole lot of personality. Never quite seen a guitar that looks like this before. This is pretty cool. I found it on the Guitar Center website. This thing plays and sounds beautiful. I have had people, played a gig one time with a guitar like this. It was the same exact model. And I played at like a folk music kind of, they had like a feature artist kind of thing, and I was the feature artist, and then afterwards they had like a jam together. And they had a dude there who had a $4,000 rain song guitar, which is all made out of like composite materials and stuff, but $4,000. And he's hearing my guitar and all the bass that's coming out of it and the frequencies and stuff, and he's like, wow, what kind of guitar is that? He didn't recognize the headstock because it doesn't say Alvarez on there. It has their stylized kind of A. He goes, what kind of guitar is that? And I said, it's an Alvarez. He goes, an Alvarez, aren't they like cheap? I said, well, new, these cost around, I think around $360, $380, something like that when they were brand new. But I bought mine used, and this one is what I bought used also. And he says, that guitar, says, my guitar costs 10 times that, and yours sounds way better. And I'm going like, well, yeah, part of it, I mean, of course, it depends on your technique. But the other thing was just, this is just there. It's a nice, well-made guitar. Alvarez is brand new, sold for under $400. And this one I picked up off the Guitar Center website. Saw it. I was just surfing one night looking for one of these. These models are getting harder to find, and it's $189. $189 for this guitar. It's wonderful. Solid top, alpine spruce. This thing just has personality and resonance and depth, and sounds just amazing. I have a 12-string, same model. It's just the 12-string version of the guitar. And you've seen that on some of my other videos as well. I also picked that one up. I think I picked that one up for around $320 or so. They're getting harder to find. The whole idea behind this is that for under $300, you can get yourself a perfectly nice guitar, and you can have a whole stable of guitars that do different things. This one's in open G tuning. That's what I played this one in most of the time. It sounds great in standard tuning, but I have composed a lot of work for acoustic guitar, fingerstyle guitar, and open G. So this is my main open G guitar. If I go out to a gig, this guitar definitely goes with me. So if you're in the mind of building up a guitar collection, learn some basic skills on how to file the nut down to make it play a little bit better for you, to lower the action if that's what you like to do. Learn how to adjust the truss rod. Learn how to cut nut slots if you need to. That's a rare thing that you need to do, but sometimes some guitars benefit from that. Learn to adjust intonation on electric guitar, how to raise and lower your pickup heights and play around with the different settings. The Strat kind of variant that I have toyed with the idea of just swapping out the whole pick guard assembly and putting in some other pickups and stuff in it. But I like the sound of it so much the way it is. I haven't bothered to do it. It just nothing is telling me like, hey, it would sound a whole lot better. It sounds great like it is. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you want to have a stable of guitars that you can pull from for different sounds, different feels, different sounds on recordings, if you gig out and you want to have multiple guitars to swap between for different types of effects, different tunings, you can do this without having to have a lot of really expensive guitars, and you can have a lot of fun with them. So I'm just throwing that out there. There's nothing wrong with having a really nice guitar. You go into a music store and somebody sticks a $3,000 guitar in your hand. It's like, wow, this thing's really, really nice. But is a $3,000 guitar 100 times better than my Alvarez? Really not. I can't see putting the money into it. Not at this point. If you have the money to put in money, you want to do that, that's great. But me, I just like having the variety to play, and it's something to keep in mind. So thanks for watching the video. Please hit like, subscribe, and share with people if you think this information is valuable. And believe me, your wife will love you if you buy inexpensive guitars. I saved up some money to go buy a really nice 12-string one time, and I had about $1,800 to spend, and I was looking at Taylor's, and I was looking at at Martin's and things like that. And I went to back when they used to have the music store chain Mars, and I went in there, and in their used section they had this version, the 12-string version of this guitar was hanging on the wall. It was the first time I found one like that, and they had it up there for like $2.99 with the hard shell case, a really nice hard shell case, and didn't even have all didn't have all 12 strings on it. I just picked it up and played it, and it sounded really good. I knew it would sound super good with all the strings on it, so I asked the guy how much you want for it, and he says, give me a $2.99. I said, okay, sold. And guess what? My wife is really glad I didn't spend $1,800 on the guitar. And I was happy with that Alvarez, and I've had a couple of those same guitars since that time. So, moral of the story, you can be perfectly happy with an inexpensive guitar, especially if you know how to tweak them. Keep it in mind as you build your guitar collection in the future. Thanks again for watching. Bye, everybody.